I'm Joe Reed, and this is Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. Alan Minskoff is with me. He is piloting this week and letting us know what we should be listening to. So, Alan, what do you have for us today?
This may be my favorite of the whole week, one of my favorites of the whole year, because I am a Karen Russell fan, and this is her historical novel, The Antidote. And it is read by a full cast, including Elena Rey, Sophie Amoss, Mark Bramhall, Shayna Small, John Orsini, Natasha Sudik, and Karen Russell has a little piece at the very end, as does James Writing.
Well, Karen Russell wrote Swamplandia, which was an extraordinary book, and she's written a lot of short stories since then. So, this is really the first novel she's written in a long time.
In a long time, and it was worth the wait. Historical novels sometimes can be balanced one way or the other. There can be a lot of history, or the fiction kind of takes over. With Karen Russell, there's magic realism, and the prose is also exquisite. This novel takes place in the 1930s in the Dust Bowl, and it's set in the fictional Uz, Nebraska. Sophie Amoss absolutely shimmers as the antidote, who is a character. She's a prairie witch, another Russell invention, and this is set between two huge climate events. One is the Black Sunday, where the dust just took over the planet. I mean, that part of the planet. And then 6 weeks later, a flood comes. I mean, so Russell has found the perfect 6 weeks to set this story of magic realism and fascinatingly alive.
That dust storm is something I am so drawn to. It just seems otherworldly, and that people could have survived it is shocking.
Astounding. And of course, it's a wonderful setting for a fiction. And when we get there, it's going to be what our sound sample is about. So this is 1935, this epic dust storm that's dubbed Black Sunday, and it's bookended by this torrential rain and flood and everything that happens in between. You have a prairie witch, you have the family Oletsky, Polish people who've settled on a farm there, and a young teen who's a basketball star who's living with her uncle because her mom has been killed. And there's a murder mystery set in the middle of all this activity. So, I mean, this is Karen Russell, I think, at her finest.
So how is the narration divvied up? How did the narrators work in the book?
Let me give it to you. The most important one is, of course, the Prairie Witch, because she's sort of the center of the story. She connects with everybody. And she is done by Sophie Amoss, who has a lovely voice and works well in this unique role. Asphodel Oletsky, the Polish daughter who's the basketball player, is done by Elena Rey and very well. And one of the people who comes in and has this kind of masterful ability to narrate is Mark Bramhall, who you know
Mm,
well. He's done
yeah.
a lot of stuff. And he's Harp Oletsky. He's the uncle and the owner of the farm. And his farm has some magic stuff that happens on it. Its crops are growing while nobody else's are.
Wow.
I mean, it's just vintage.
So why don't we hear a little bit now? Who will we hear from?
We will hear from the Prairie Witch, Sophie Amoss.
Okay, this is The Antidote by Karen Russell.
On Black Sunday, before anybody knew to call it Black Sunday, I woke up in the jailhouse to a sound like a freight train tunneling through me, an ear-splitting howl that seemed to shake the stone walls. My body trembled like a husk on the cot. My fingers clawed into the mattress. For those early moments in the dark, I was nothing but the fear of floating off.
Well, she has this kind of lovely probing quality to that reading, like she's coming into herself or something. It's very interesting.
It's a fascinating cast because she is this central character who relates to everybody, to the murder mystery, to the Oletsky family and everyone else. And then the girl is done, just perfect teenager sound.
Mhm.
And then Mark Bramhall is himself, and he is one of those authority. He has one of those. Although his voice here is a little less authoritative than some of his others. I mean, he is a man who's wondering about what life has brought him.
And so is it does it go from point of view to point of view, or do they actually interact with each other? How does it
It
work?
mostly goes from point of view to point of view.
Okay.
There's very little interaction, and in fact, I left out an important character who is a African American photographer working in the 1930s, and she also gets stranded in this during this period at the Oletsky farm.
Oh, well, this is something obviously we're all going to be listening to, or at least I'm going to be listening to, because I am such a Karen Russell devotee.
As am I, and I cannot recommend this as an audiobook any more highly. It is really mesmerizing.
And that is The Antidote by Karen Russell, read by Elena Rey, Sophie Amoss, Mark Bramhall, Shayna Small, John Orsini, and Natasha Sudek. And it's an earphones winner. So thank you. And I will talk to you tomorrow.
And I look forward. Tomorrow's going to be fun.
Dreamscape is the sponsor of today's episode of Behind the Mic. Dreamscape publishes audiobooks from authors like Frida McFadden, Kirsten Proby, and Katie Robert. Explore their full catalog at dreamscapepublishing.com. Don't forget to stop by audiofilemagazine.com, where you can find hundreds of reviews, as well as interviews and articles about authors and narrators, and videos of some of your favorite narrators discussing the books they perform. That's audiofilemagazine.com. I'm Jo Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.